Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. It's time to have a look at the roadmap, the first roadmap of 2024 for War Thunder. Now this roadmap covers the first kind of set of updates for War Thunder for 2024. Remember that what we have is basically 5 major updates a year. And it looks like they're splitting it into kind of 2 quadrants. So you have the first major update, which usually comes around March, and then you have the second update, which I believe is June, July, and then later on, you have like September, November, December. Which are the other 3 major updates. So in this one, they're covering the first major update that you can see here, and then also the second major update, and then the summer of 2024, which in the past we've kind of got like a minor major update. So that's when update Regia Marina came out in the past. You have like this, I suppose, kind of mini major one, but usually it runs at the same time as the summer event, and I don't know if it'll do that this year or not. So the main thing is there's a ton of changes that are coming in, and this kind of gives us a look at what's going to be coming going forward. Usually we don't get early sneak peeks, especially when it comes to mechanics and stuff like that. And also just remember, and all this stuff is kind of set in stone. We still don't have certain things from last year's roadmap, which haven't been implemented, but hopefully by this year, they will be, just to kind of give you an idea of what's going on. We'll go through all of it, and I'll kind of give my opinion as we're going along, but as I've done a look previously, I'm pretty happy with all the changes. Last year, they really focused on economy stuff, right? This year, at least for the first few little areas of the year, they are heavily focusing on gameplay elements and also just UI elements in general. And we start off, of course, with the game mechanics and general gameplay. One of the things that they're going to be adding is they decided last year to add in these little tutorials for air-to-air missiles, air-to-ground missiles, and also semi-active missiles, right? So basically, they're going to expand that. So stuff such as the guided missiles and bombs and laser seekers, TV thermal imaging heads, all of these will get their own kind of tutorial, so make it easier to use if you're a person who buys like a high-tier vehicle and don't know how to use them, or just kind of grind a vehicle with it, because there's no real way of doing it. So they're going to add more of these tutorials in, which they're non-invasive, they fit the game very well. I think we can all agree it's a good idea that they're doing that. They're also doing more synchronization of destruction objects. Now, this one's always an interesting one for me because it's been one which has been kind of worked on for years now when it comes to War Thunder. So the idea of what the server sees and what the client sees being the same thing, because that's not always been the case. You can see here that's something that they're going to be working on. So fences, bushes, and other objects will be destroyed first on the player's side and then on the server side for all players. So the idea is what you see is closer to what's on the server, instead of if you shoot something and it doesn't exist on your screen, it now doesn't exist on the server as well. So that is a bit of an issue. There's also this, which I'm not entirely sure what this means, but they're also planning to introduce detection of enemy aircraft at aircraft spawn points in ground realistic battles, just like how it works in ground vehicle spawn zones. Now, I don't know what that means, but it says the mechanics for replenishing capture points in ground battles will be reworked too. Vehicles that can currently replenish rounds, missiles, and rockets only after they've completely used up will have the ability to replenish any missing ones that have been used, which is fantastic, especially for SPAAs. SPAAs have a bit of an issue where it takes ages to reload some of them, and also it means that you have to kind of use all of your missiles sometimes before replenishing them. If they fix this, that'll be really nice. The replenishment times of all rounds, missiles, and rockets will be revised to improve the overall dynamics of the battle. And in addition to this replenish action will not instantly be reset when moving in and out of the capture points. So that's huge, that's massive, and will make it a lot better for a lot of vehicles, especially stuff like SPGs, SPHs, and also SPAAs, for being more useful. But I'm kind of interested to see what this one means. The idea of introducing detection of enemy aircraft at aircraft spawn points in ground realistic battles. So does that mean when somebody spawns in, and if they're able to like hit somebody real quick, they're able to, they're able to have like a marker above their head? Or, when it comes to kind of spawn protection, does it mean that when, let's say, a truck fires a missile just as a plane spawns in or locks on a plane that spawns in, will it put like a thing above like the SBAA's head? I'm not sure. Like, it doesn't really say anything here for that. It just kind of says, that they're just kind of going in with it. So I'm not entirely sure what that means at all, but I'm sure we'll see what goes on while it moves through. Then also the second major update, there's a bunch of stuff they're going to be focusing on too. You can see here the damage to ground vehicle crews. So shell shock for gunners and commanders, the occurrence of a new type of fire, one that can start in the fighting compartment, and so on. This kind of worries me because as somebody who has kind of been parallel to World of Tanks for a long time, one of the issues that World of Tanks has had for so long is trying to balance their artillery, either making them too strong or too weak, and they added this weird shock mechanic to crews to try and make it so artilleries weren't just one-shotting people, and instead you would kind of daze the crew, and then they would lose their combat effectiveness, making them a lot worse. So if this is a precursor to some weird artillery mechanic, I'll be very worried. Or if it's just a continuation of HE mechanics, which is something we've seen a lot of over the period of time, especially with overpressure and stuff, then hopefully, it's not too bad. I also kind of want to see what this fighting compartment fire looks like, whether it just like appears underneath stuff. Like you can see here, they talk about the different things that are going to be going on. All of this is available, by the way. I'll leave links in the description, which should be quite nice. So the big one, I suppose, for a lot of people is the ability to place a vehicle into a crew slot from the research tree by dragging and dropping it with the mouse. Ability to change the order of crew slots. So a lot of people have been asking for this stuff. So it's really, really good to see. This is the one that they actually say about the penetration stuff. So additional effects on crews when armor is penetrated. For example, fire in the fighting compartment, concussion of weapons operators when armor is penetrated will be based on player voting results. So they are going to let people, obviously vote in on that. I personally am not a huge fan of stuff like that because you've already been penetrated. You've already taken damage, right? So the idea that you're going to take additional damage when being penetrated, War Thunder already has a big problem with whoever shoots first wins. And I know in real life that's how it works or how that's been described, but like we just need to be a bit careful with these types of mechanics where the more you make it so whoever shoots first definitely wins a battle. They're also going to add in the idea of healing ground crew members that were wounded in battle. I like this one. They actually tried to implement this years ago, but they tried to implement it in a pay-to-win way where you would get these like premium modifications, and if you bought these premium modifications, then you could like heal your ground crews, and you could do all these things. So it's nice to see the mechanic back, just hopefully not in a not in a premium way. Instead, just make it an addition to what already exists. It's one of those things that many people have talked about, though, the idea of kind of like healing the crew. It's very annoying when you have a tomato crew and you're just kind of wandering around the battle and you can't really do anything. Your tank basically feels like it's dead because you lose so much combat effectiveness. They're also going to implement a separate use of flares and chaff, which I'm sure tons of people are going to be happy with. That's a massive one for many people. And also more air conquest missions will appear in the air arcade game mode. I've been playing a lot of arcade recently just to do some dailies, and my god, is there a lot of dominations right now. I don't know whether they freaked out because the last battle pass there was a challenge where you needed to do like a cap, an air kill, a ground kill, and they obviously annoyed a lot of people with that, because if you play Air Arcade, then, well, the only place you can really get that is in Air Arcade, and if you get unlucky and just get conquest battles over and over and over again, then you're not going to get that done, and it frustrates people, and so it looks like maybe they'll be getting back into it. The respawn zone will be protected by anti-aircraft guns, which is interesting. So you won't just be able to sit above the air respawn zone. This is what a lot of people do in Air Arcade, especially in stuff like BF-109s, because it's super easy to do. What they do is they just hover above the enemy spawn, and because the spawn is like a two-tiered system in Air Arcade, so you have like the fighter spawn, and then you have like the bomber spawn, which is above it. People just sit like above it, and then just wait for bombers to spawn, bang, and then go up again, and then just keep doing that over and over again, right? So what that does is it means that you just can't do anything with bombers. So yeah, they're trying to implement something to fix that. The same update should include a division of the battle ratings of vehicles by mode. For example, some attack aircraft will be giving a different battle rating in ground and air battles. Oh, I thought you couldn't do this. Can you just magically do it now? Wow. Finally, we have this. After being told that it can't be done because of technical stuff, and then also being told that it shouldn't be done because the efficiency of vehicles is the same in all game modes, which is just an insane statement, by the way, right? So thank God they're finally doing it. They're finally splitting the BRs of some vehicles between different game modes. This should have been done a long time ago. This will make balancing a lot easier and mean that we won't have to sit in scenarios where a lot of vehicles will be kind of neutered by their rewards because they're trying to balance them through rewards instead of through gameplay. So this is very positive. This is a massive change and huge, and definitely looking forward to it. This will be the first step, right? Just kind of like how you had all of the demo kind of things, or all of the little kind of test things, and now they're adding more. Hopefully this will be the first step to that. They're also planning to complete the work being done on updating crew character models with era-based military equipment, as well as adding new models for crews for more modern vehicles, which is awesome. You know, it's always nice to see stuff like that as it goes along. And then it also talks about the opportunity to recycle inventory items that you no longer need into other random items. So my guess is trying to do like the mechanic that you see on in console. I don't know if they actually add more stuff here. It just says updating crew by era, research bonuses for new nations. So that's actually coming in the second major update instead of the first major update, which is fine. It's just kind of weird how they're setting that up. But yeah, the simple fact is it's super cool that they're trying to do that stuff. So I'm happy that finally that area will come in. And then also planning to completely work on updating the damage model for helicopters. Thank God. Helicopters are some of the most annoying things to fight. Not because of the fact that they can just donk you from wherever, which is annoying, but it's the fact that you cannot reliably destroy them. And that has been kind of the crux of a lot of things in War Thunder, by the way. The idea that they can hit you and you go pop because they hit you in certain ways, but if you hit them in certain ways, they don't go pop, and it's kind of annoying. Also, you'll be able to turn on radio fuse on or off. That's a huge buff to a lot of vehicles in the mid tiers. That's actually really cool. I like that, and it means that as long as it's like a toggle instead of other things. One of the things, actually, talking about naval, I wish that we had, because this will obviously affect naval too, because there's a lot of HETF. I really wish that option to be able to use secondary guns alongside primary guns was one which was one which you could kind of toggle on and off instead of through options. So I wish you could like hotkey it, which would be much more fun. They're also planning to implement mechanics for saving aircraft at an exit zone, so very similar to like World War mode, which is how it is. The interesting thing is they actually do talk about World War mode coming back, so it looks like they're going to try and bring it back. Whether people are interested in it or not, obviously that's a very different thing. So forever events in ground arcade battles with a random reward. So the idea is you don't just crash your plane into the ground. Because if you don't know what happens in ground arcade now, people spawn in their planes and then they just go to the closest targets, drop their bombs or fire their cannons, then run into the ground. So this is where if you save your plane, you actually get something from it, and means that, you know, there's actually a worth to the vehicle itself instead of just the ordnance that it has on it. They're also going to correct scattering scenarios of APHE shell fragments while keeping the head of the projectile on the trajectory after armor penetration, where if you vote for these changes, they'll be appearing in the game in the summer. So changes to post-pen effect of APHE. This might actually make a huge effect when it comes to certain vehicles, like especially Soviet vehicles that use a lot of APHE. You can see here, changing the fragmentation dispersion pattern, retaining the projectile's head on its trajectory after the explosion occurs. So once again, another one which will be based on player voting. Oh, the recycle thing is right here, so that's where it is. And then they are going to notify people when people that you report get banned. You can see here, notification of when a reported player was banned. I know, like, we've talked about this before, like this whole culture around, like, going after people, like, who are doing things naughty or whatever, and how there's a lot of, like, kind of vigilante stuff which is around it, and you see it in a lot of other games too, and it's fine, you know, it is how it is, but I don't know, I don't really get the kick out of it at the end of the day, but I guess they're doing it for a lot of other people. And yeah, they're going to add in the nation bonuses in the second update, so thanks for your patience on this one. Yeah, well, it's been a year, but you know, they added in all of the other economy changes, and I've got to be honest, I think a lot of people will agree that the economy at the moment when it comes to War Thunder is in a much better position than it was before, right? Like it's in an incredibly positive position, and it's a lot easier to make a sell for people. It's a lot easier to research stuff for people. It's a lot easier to get full lineups, and also a lot of stock experiences are better. Are they perfect? Of course not, but they're better. And also, they are going to be changing some of the interface stuff. So you'll be able to enable and disable nicknames, squadrons, and also the type of weapons used to destroy another player and so on. So not moving anything, but being able to disable on and off. And the second major update will add these, such as a visual selector that will have quick selection for secondary weapons. So a timer with the time left before ammunition hits their target, which is there in some areas of the UI anyway, as well as the ability to drag and drop vehicles from research trees into a crew slot and changing the order of crew slots. That's the big one, because I know a lot of people have asked for that for many years. The idea of kind of rotating around crew slots, just because the way that they play the game now is different to when they started, or they didn't really know what they were doing when they started. For me, like, my crews have always kind of been the same, but I get why people want to do this stuff. For the summer update, a new aiming reticle is also planned for modern ground vehicles. This worries me. Plus improved indicators for the operation of vehicle systems. And lastly, you receive notifications if a player that you reported was banned, which we talked about. They have actually been teasing this for a long time, at least a year and a half. So I'm hoping that there's a lot of work that's put into this, and I'm hoping there's like some historical elements of it for different nations, but it does worry me, this one, because with modern reticles comes modern systems, and with modern systems becomes automation. With the laser rangefinder change, where they made it automatic, it's the similar deal, right? So I'm really worried that, they're going to add in some FCSs which are, or make the game, child's play to play, because that would be the most realistic and historical thing. And as we've seen over the last year, when it comes to mechanics, there still is that idea of making these things as realistic / historical as possible, and that kind of worries me. So we'll see how that goes. If it's just a new reticle and it just looks nice and it looks more modern, all power to you. But adding other systems in just to make, auto track of vehicles or, auto aim of vehicles or anything like that, okay, we're gonna have to chill down on that front, Hopefully they're seen as two separate systems. Then also social features. So as has been talked about many times with War Thunder, the interesting thing about War Thunder is it's a game which is comprised of teams but individual efforts, right? Like, a lot of War Thunder is straight up the idea that you, as a person, have a lot of control over the game while your team runs around. And, we saw yesterday in that video about Advance the Rhine, it's a very, very simple idea. So new social features will make your communication easier and your public profile much cooler than before. Hey, they're finally doing it, Public profile improvements. Isn't that wonderful? It's something that at least I've been asking for a long time. Hopefully we can get the good old prestige system in. Hopefully we can get some animated profiles. Hopefully we can get all this stuff in. So yeah, it should be good. We're planning on introducing an integration of the Steam friends list into the in-game client, and also a wish list where you'll be able to wish for things you want with the ability to gift others in the wish list too. So a begging list. Basically. Please. It's like an Amazon wish list. Please buy me a toilet paper holder. I need one. These features should be ready in time for the first major update. Yeah, because it's simple integration. I think they already do this stuff on console, don't they? Or at least they have like integration with your friends list on console. And then also in the second major update, team mechanics will be improved and a search for squads based on interests will be added. So in the summer, we'll be introducing customizable options to the player card window. Woo! The addition of a mini card as a tooltip in the statistics window, and when you destroy another player, you'll be able to show off your awesome profile in the vehicle destruction replay camera. Oh my god, there's going to be so many memes out of that. Like, people just making their profiles look in certain ways, so therefore you can kind of, dab on the haters, I think is the old way of putting it. So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff in the roadmap that's looking really cool. The first major update, it isn't looking huge, but the second one and the summer are looking very large for these roadmap changes. And we're finally getting the last changes that they talked about in the roadmap from last year in the second major update. And also, we're just getting a ton of cool things. And by the way that stuff is worded in this is different to the way it's worded in here. So make sure to check both of them out as it goes through. And then it also says construction of replenishment zones and trenches on maps by vehicles with limited ammunition for their main gun. For example, some self-propelled guns, ATGM carriers, and air defense systems will be based on player voting results. And then also, the fact that they're teasing World War mode again, which is kind of surprising, and a bunch of other stuff that is kind of going on. I think we can all agree that the last year's roadmap was very positive for players. It gave people stuff to look forward to. It gave people stuff to enjoy and go through. And this year's, at least the first one, is looking incredibly positive too. Many ideas are being covered, which I'm sure many people are looking forward to. And hopefully we will see a lot of these features and there aren't too many delays. The only thing I'm worried about is, of course, that shock mechanic. Everything else seems pretty fine to me. And as we go along, we'll obviously look at the individual stuff as it comes and look forward to, I suppose, the major updates. As always, let me know what you think and have a wonderful day. And I'll see you next time. I'd like to thank Schnitzel Stroker, Brendan Quinn, Vilneus, Character Fuel, Carrion Crow, Nicholas Richardson, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, B. Young, Opium Prime, Masonocrat, Lafouche, Alan Hacker, Sem Arslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.